Good evening and welcome to the July 16th meeting of the Barrington Planning Board. First order of business is roll call of members.
Shepherd here.
Here.
Tessier present.
Aller present. Driscoll here. For this meeting also, alternate member Scott Shepherd will be. Next, review and approve minutes from June 18th, 2024. Corrections, questions, motion to approve the minutes, June 4th.
Make a motion we approve the minutes as written.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Shepherd, aye.
Gabriella, aye.
Okay, now
Tessier, aye.
Allard, aye.
Driscoll here. Aye. Okay.
I'm no longer voting, right?
Yes, we're gonna.
That's fine.
Alternate member Shepherd is
Yep.
now an alternate member again. Sorry.
No problem.
Oh, Buddy's not here, right? I forgot. Yes, you are a full member.
Back.
You're back.
I'm back. Okay.
Forgot about Buddy. Good.
Get him, buddy. He was on TV.
Yeah. Okay, staff updates. Item number 4 with the town planner.
Tonight, the only thing I have really to discuss with the board is just our upcoming meeting dates due to staff being out. We're proposing to have our August meeting on August 27th for our public hearing meeting. Does anybody have conflict with that date? We need to have at least a quorum of 4.
With the 27th of August.
With the 27th of August. It sounds like then that's when our next meeting will be.
Okay.
The submittal dates will be posted online for when plans are due for that. Also, I had initially taken off September 3rd, but after talking with the chair, I think we will keep September 3rd, but that will be a work session. So we're kind of flipping around. So the 3rd will be work session, and then September 17th will be our public hearing. And then our schedule goes back to normal. Except there was one other thing. Not to get you fatigued by meetings, but I was proposing to have an additional meeting in October to have a work session on the 8th. To continue working on our zoning amendments. So I don't know what that looks like right now. I think we'll begin that at our September 3rd meeting. The amendments for zoning, ideas and everything, have it be ready to discuss. We don't have to decide on the 8th right now, but is that something that the board might want to entertain depending on, I guess, how many we have to discuss? Okay. It sounds like Joyce is the only one that may have conflict, so we'll keep that on the calendar and go from there on that. Just one other thing. I know last time we talked about land use regulations for lake quality. I reached out to a few resources, and the town of Durham has recently, in the last few years, had adopted something, and we can probably talk about that at a work session, or if there's other places you want to look at to see if that would work for us. That might be better, the first step, to go through a work session to discuss that before we move forward with that. If that's okay with everybody.
I have
Yes.
a Lake Smart book, so
Oh,
if people
cool.
are not familiar with this program, I'll pass it around. They actually will come to properties at no charge and assess
That's great.
properties
Yeah, Durham
up
mentioned
for-
that too. I'd like to have that be, I know we talked a little bit more about public outreach for folks, so that might be a great way to get some of those extra resources here too. Thank you, Joyce. Anybody have any questions or anything for me before we move on? It looked like it.
Questions? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Next item on the agenda, item number 5, Class 6 private road application. Review of a request for a building permit for Cottage Lane LLC at 29 Cottage Lane, map 115, lot 10, for a Category 2 application. Berry Engineering. If you have comments.
Oh, it's microphone right there. Cottage Lane is actually Unified Builders, or are you speaking for Unified?
I can.
Builders? Okay.
So Christopher Berry with Berry Surveying and Engineering, representing Cottage Lane and Unified Builders here. I think this is a pretty simple Class 2 case where there's an existing structure on site. They're proposing to take that structure down and rebuild it in the exact same footprint. And so I think they've worked with the building department and your planner on identifying that this is a Class 2 private road. And I'm happy to try and answer any more specific questions about what the project is.
This one why is Class 2. I don't. To me, this is Class 3. I think. So why is it what?
Yeah, I don't know if Chris, you want to come up and speak to that. I know that they've been working with the various departments. So.
If you're more comfortable at the table, you can go to the table too. I just need to have you with the microphone. Okay, thank you.
Chris Watson with Unified Builders.
I didn't see
Yeah, I guess I was just advised that it would be Class 2. How would it be Class 3, I guess? Or how would it not be a Class 2? I think it's because we thought if we were building on the same footprint, taking down the structure, taking out the foundation, and just building up on the same footprint, no expansion. So I guess I was advised that it would be Class 2.
Class 2 is existing building footprint, volume. So if you're adding square footage, that triggers Class 3.
Okay. All right. So
So I know that
I'd have to look at the square footage.
yeah, I know the applicant had worked, and the representatives of the applicant had worked with John Huckins as well as Jamie on this. Can't speak for them, but they had said it was a Category 2 due to it's the same footprint.
The definite addition of square footage, you're adding a whole story.
Whether it's the new policy or the old policy, new policy is living space, the old policy is volume. I mean, either way, it's a Class 3. I mean, if I looked at the assessing card, living space now is under 1,500. They're going for over 4,000. So I mean, this is Class 3, no question.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I have no answer to combat that. So.
If this is Susan Schmitter, may I speak? I'm the applicant. May I speak to the square footage?
Sure.
It actually isn't 1,500. It is 2 units, and I believe it's in excess of 2,300. If that makes a difference.
That's not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so
I think the best way to handle it for the board is to have a motion for recommendation to go back to the building department.
Yep.
To have it look as a Category 3 due to volume, or however you want to make that motion.
you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I mean, in the Category 2, in order to be Category 2, it has to be the use, the volume, or the footprint all have to remain the same. In this case, the volume clearly remain the same. Right. So this doesn't fit the Class 2 category. So it triggers Class 3, and unfortunately, that triggers the 10% requirement. I drove down the road. They're not that far down the road, so I don't know if the road needs that much.
They don't own that road, though.
No, it's on the abutter's property.
Yeah, we ran through this when we did the house next to this house. They worked something on the road until they got to the turn, and then they couldn't proceed any further.
The road piece is work, so. I mean,
Yeah, that road definitely needs some love.
Yeah, you got wetlands on one side and private property and then kind of a wall and everything on the other.
Right, and the pin for it is actually on the adjacent side of the road. So the road actually runs down through the lot that is on Lindsay Point Road.
Okay, right.
I mean, the new policy allows, and I think the old policy doesn't say it can't be done, to get additional rights of way too. That's one of the uses you can use for the money.
Okay, so is there a motion to send this back to the building department for review?
I make a motion, we send this back to the building department to see if, for class 3, category 3.
Second the motion.
Roll call?
Shepherd, aye.
Nap eye.
Happy LOI.
Jesse, aye.
Allard, aye.
Driscoll, aye.
Stick them up there.
Is item number 6, A1, 240-8-NR-23- sub (23), owner Young Road LLC.
Chair, again, Christopher Berry with Berry Surveying and Engineering, representing the applicant here this evening. We have completed the engineering and stormwater analysis, road design, things like that would be required for a project like this. We'll be submitting that back to Vanessa and CMA engineers for their review shortly. And in the interim, I wanted to bring you through some updates that we've made to the plan. The last planning board meeting, we presented a 23-lot pure cluster subdivision where there were no lot lines. There were limited common area lines around the actual cluster groups themselves. After that planning board meeting, the planning board held a subsequent workshop, which I happened to watch and pull a few notes from. And it seemed as though that the board would prefer that open space subdivisions review a cluster design or a lot design that had things a little better spread out. And taking some of the comments that were made at our public hearing, we decided to revise the layout of the subdivision one additional time to actually include cluster lots. So the difference here is they're not cluster groups with no lot lines. The homes are further spread apart. And those lots are 20,000 square feet. They would meet the 75-foot lot width at the front setback line. The road geometry doesn't change one bit. And the project actually reduces the total density from 23 down to 22. There is one additional lot that's placed on the street, which is adjacent to the proposed cul-de-sac. And some of those lots along the roadway were actually were able to increase in size to account for the fact that the front 100 feet is not actually usable space as part of the lot because it is the front lot buffer. So I point out in our just quick update project narrative that we meet the lot width requirements, the lot frontage requirements, all of the setback requirements and such. We have taken the open space and we've broken it into only 2 distinct parcels or types of parcels. So open space 1, 2, and 3 will be reserved for the use of the HOA that's to be created as part of the project. Those areas are in really close proximity to the housing stock. One of the areas, open space number 1, is the very small 10,000 square foot area at the front of the site that really has no use to the public. Open space area number 2 is a wetland area adjacent to a common boundary line. And then open space area number 3 is actually an area that is around the proposed stormwater system. So there's really no reason to have that open to the public. And so we've just differentiated those on the plan. The remainder of the parcel would be open and free to the public to use in the future. In addition, as we listened as part of the workshop, we noted that some additional activity space may be warranted as part of some of these projects, and so we opened up some open space that will be adjacent to the stormwater pond. There's an area out there that isn't going to be utilized for stormwater. We're able to provide trail access down to that area and will basically be flattened and able to be utilized for some active rec space. This design also allows for multiple access points into the stormwater area as well as into the open space area. The parking area that we had proposed at the end of the cul-de-sac would remain. We've removed the trail extension out of the wetland area itself. and we're able to connect back onto the existing trail outside of the wetland system. And then we do have a few other small passive recreation pieces that we're proposing at that trailhead to sort of designate that area as part of the open space moving forward. We've finalized our test pitting this last week, so that will be updated and provided in the next full set of plans that we would submit to you. Vanessa's comment to the board is that we would provide you with a full permit package and then re-notify the abutters as we agreed to at the last planning board meeting. So I'd be happy to try and answer any questions that the board has. We'd like any comment that you might have on this so that we can potentially implement that into the final plan that we present to you.
Questions?
I just have a couple right now. The first one was you'd mentioned the open space area number 3, and I was trying to figure out exactly where it is. I couldn't see it. I see the open space areas marked, but I didn't see 3.
Three is this large area here at the back.
And does that cover all the way around to the parking area and the trail connection?
Nope. So the parking area and the trail connection would be part of space area number 4, which would be full public access.
And that would be essentially from that lot line of 816. It would follow the perimeter of 816 over and around, and then once it hits the wetland, it comes all the way down to the back of lot 84, and then encompasses that front section. Or oh no, that's not for public. And then follows the water line boundary. Is that?
Come back to this in a second.
Yep.
It comes out to this. So essentially, the entire remainder of the parcel would be.
Okay.
And I wanted to come back to this. Now that we have finalized our storm, that line will actually be pulled away from the wetland boundary itself, so there's going to be more as upland traversable area in the.
Thank you. The other question I had was driveways on the lots that have frontage on Young Road. Are you looking at a shared driveway?
Each of the 3 would have a shared driveway. Just check the topography. I thought we illustrated that in this edition. The short answer is the shared driveway access. No, it's not shown.
No,
There's shared driveway access. So there's one access point here. 3 lots that would come in. That same exact here. There's only 3 cuts on Young Road itself.
That's good. And then the last question I had was, it looks like with those 3 lots, based on the topography, you're still going to be fighting some pretty challenging slopes and low septics.
These 3 won't be challenging at all. This driveway comes in and actually works along the contour, so that when you're actually at the building areas, the driveway is going to be at the grade of the lot, essentially. And then I'm
sorry to interrupt. They can't hear you online, Chris, if you don't mind.
I can do that. Yep. So this driveway provides basically at-grade access to these 3 lots, 84, 85, and 86. And then this driveway provides the same sort of at-grade access. Now, these lots do break away from that driveway, but we're going to show you the grading scheme on how that would work, how the septic tank would fit in the front, and then the effluent disposal area would be in the back.
Yep, I think for now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions. With all the open spaces that you've identified, what is the nature of this? Are they going to remain forested, or you cut them down, and what do you see these looking?
If I just have you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. So I'm trying to understand what happens to the open space. Are they going to remain forested, and also the part near the road, is that going to be forested, or is that going to be cut down and become grass, or what would it look like?
Yeah, so the applicant will leave the area in its natural condition now, so it won't be cut. The open space documents will likely discuss proper forestry management, so that if the HOA, for whatever reason, needs to cut these areas in the future, that there's a procedure in place for them to do that. What we don't want to do is leave it open and completely untouchable, because we find that some of these open space areas become unruly, and then the documents don't allow for any management. So we do want to leave that ability for proper management in the future.
Do we do that as a matter of course? I don't know. Sorry, I'm the new guy here.
We should require, like, part of that is usually we require, if there's open space, that they have to have some kind of forestry management.
Okay.
Best management practices too.
Yeah.
I had questions about the.
Didn't hear the chair, sorry.
Best management practices, which are,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
get those from the state.
I have questions about the leaching areas, because some of them seem to contour conveniently with the wetland buffer, and intend also to slope down. So if you look at like lot 8-8, you can see that it's sort of contouring with the 50-foot radius of this, but it sort of goes all along, and then it's sort of an odd shape. And there are other ones that look like that. So is that an allowable way to do it?
Yep. So the areas that are shown on the plan are called 4K areas, 4,000 square foot reserve areas. All those areas are proof that we have availability on site within that area for an EDA, an effluent disposal area. That does not mean that that's where we have to put the effluent disposal area. So we find convenient places where we can get test pits and performing test pits and things like that. And sometimes it's a matter of just a CAD technician going plunk, 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 plunk. You know, my 4K areas meet all the rules, but contouring them along natural features is an appropriate practice.
Okay, because I'm just wondering, if you do that and the field is there and the trees nearby, that seems to be a problem for the leach field, right? So how does this happen when it goes next to the wetland buffer?
So again, the 4,000 square foot leaching area is a reserve area of soil that is conducive to place a system. You wouldn't necessarily put the system right on that buffer line, because, as you say, you can't grade it and you have vegetative issues. So the reserve area is what we would show for subdivision, and then for a construction approval, we would show where we would actually place the EDA. These are 4,000 square foot reserve areas, but a standard septic system nowadays is about 30 feet long and 10.5 feet wide.
Right.
So they're a fraction of this size.
Okay.
Other questions? Are these going to be 4-bedroom homes?
I don't know.
Each
Lot.
I thought it was mentioned somewhere on the.
Well, each lot is designed to handle a 4-bedroom home. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Each lot created in the state of New Hampshire through the subdivision process has to have enough lot loading and sizing to accommodate a 4-bedroom home.
So you'd be using like a geomat system?
No.
No?
No. These would either be pipe and stone systems or advanced enviroseptic systems.
Okay. I had a question on needing where would you place a cistern? Additional cistern?
Yeah, so one of the things that we need to finalize with the chief is whether or not an additional cistern is needed and what additional fire suppression may be needed for the project.
Well, right now, the current one is 1,700 feet from the Class 5 road you'll be building, and then it's 1,000 feet into the top of the bulb on the road, so.
Yeah, but I think that he wrote a letter on that.
It did when everything was at street
It's street level.
point,
I
but
think
now
The
you,
red and 1,000
He
feet
said,
in.
I think he said if it didn't go beyond a certain, the subdivision across the road, he was okay. It was that? Am I misremembering that?
Yeah, there was a comment about the closest driveway access and access point
Right.
being in relation to that cistern. That's why my answer was, we need to finalize that thought with the chief and review that completely.
It is to lot 16, it's 2,700 feet, so. Okay, and a mail kiosk you'll be putting in for the 16 units too somewhere.
Yes.
Let's see. Good news is open space requires 60%. You're at 70.67% of open space, which is a plus. And there was some discussion on the last plan about vernal pools that didn't exist. Now you have 2 vernal pools. So.
We had an analysis done in 2022 that found that there were no vernal pools at that time.
Right.
As part of the EA that was requested by the board, I asked Fraggle Rock to re-review that this spring. And just note there were areas that he suspected to be vernal pools.
Yep.
And so they're now shown on the plan.
Could I do a follow-up question? Were there any endangered species noted in this? I know you said your plan was not completed, your environmental.
The Natural Heritage Bureau did determine that there were rare and endangered species in a 2,000 foot radius from the site, which likely means that they would be on this site. I don't have that species list with me. I do believe it was 2 types of turtles, likely the blandings and the spotted. And so as part of our alteration of terrain permit, we're going to be working with Fish and Game on ensuring that the easement practices around the open space are adequate, and then the best management practices used on site during construction are adequate. Those typically include ensuring that there's no plastic products used for sediment erosion control, that there's no plastic products in any of the slope management, that any of the outlet structures that we utilize don't have sumps in them, because the turtles tend to climb on the structure and then fall in, or they come up the pipe and fall in. So we want to make sure there's no sump. There's a whole list of other best management practices that we utilize when we have these types of rare and endangered species.
Thank you. I just have a quick question. Well, first of all, I think this is much improved from where we were before, so I think this is all positive changes. The only suggestion I have, request I have, is the parking for the trail here. Is only 3 spaces there?
I thought it was more than that.
Looks to me, I only saw 3. 4?
Where is that?
Right here.
Given how much we see parking down at the other side, and if we could put some additional spaces in, I think that'd be great.
You said 5.
I only saw 3.
No, the plans are, but I think the narrative.
I looked at the drawing, I saw the numbers.
It only shows the park lines. It doesn't show the pavement edge.
Okay.
So there's 5 there.
Yeah, 5 spaces.
We could show some on the inside of the cul-de-sac also, if you were amenable to that.
I think you're going to see a lot of access from there.
Right, because then people can hike over to,
Yeah, I mean,
we need the food
the other
trail.
place, it's overflow parking all the time, the other access from the other side, so I think you'd see a lot of use of those. And if not, you got, overflow parking for the area, visitor parking.
Just be careful you don't intrude into the neighbor's privacy while you're doing the extra parking. 5 is pretty darn good.
Were you suggesting somewhere else on the open space?
Well, I didn't see the demerit. I just looked at the drawing here and I saw that. And
Yeah.
It didn't look a lot. It seems like there's plenty of room for a few more for me. So
Okay.
I just think, additional, more is always better when it comes to parking space.
Looks like the ones you're showing about the outside boundaries, about 50 feet from the property lines of those 2 adjacent lots. 17.
Yeah, it seems like there's room for additional there and there wouldn't be any privacy issues that I can
2
see.
would just take another 20 feet off the.
We'll look at it.
Okay, thank you.
Throw me a couple, I'd be happy.
I know how the game is played.
Any more questions from the board? You'll be doing a new environmental impact report?
It'll be specific
Part
to.
of the AOT or?
Yeah, so we've started our coordination with Fish and Game, and I believe the EA has actually been completed, so we would submit that as part of our
Okay.
final submission to you. I just want to recap that this is the final plan that we're moving forward with. We'll be submitting to CMA for their review. I don't know how to phrase this. You may not be happy with the overall project happening, but the board seems to be happy that this is the direction that we've gone in and that this is an improved design. It seems like we're making finite changes for betterments, finalizing open space documents and forestry management plans, providing the location for the mail kiosk, and then reviewing additional parking, and then understanding that there is a large amount of engineering detail that would be submitted to you for review as usual, that will show how houses are graded out and things like that, and how stormwater is taken care of. Are there large outstanding issues that I need to be aware of?
I don't know if it's an outstanding issue. Again, it's just a clarification. When I was following the property line, that based on your key, excuse me, the proposed property line, when you get into the open space that's marked as open space, it runs at kind of a funny circular angle down in the bottom. It's on, I would tell you what sheet number, but they're not numbered.
Yeah, it's not a proper sheet set.
Yeah. So it shows the property boundary.
That's a soil line, not a, and it might be that the legend just needs to be updated.
Okay.
Yep.
And there were others around here, so it didn't
Right.
match.
What are these odd lots that he's creating? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open it to public comment. If anybody has a comment on this, please raise your hand, come forward. Yep, he's moving already. Gotta be quick, Doug. Gotta be quick. You're forced guy, so he's double time.
Yeah, just make sure that it's green.
My name's Brian Lindsay, 115 Young Road. The things, what I have here is just an overall, I think that they want really bad, or they wanted bad 23 buildings in there. And I just think that in the end, down the road, that we're going to find that we're not too happy with what it looks like in there, and the people that are in there, I think, are going to be, it's, to me, it's just overdone as far as how they're trying to, excuse me, drive that stuff in there. And the first thing I got here is with the lot supposed to be at least 0.5 acres, and we pulled I've got 11 here where, okay, it's 0.47, and on 8, it's 46, on 9, it's 0.48, on 11, it's 47. So I added it all up on, there's 11 of them where they're not reaching a half an acre, and that sounds a little, okay, so it's 0.01. You add that all up, and there's 0.36 acres there. So if they had taken just a little more time, and instead of calling it that it's 0.47, make some more 46s and stuff, they could have got their 23 back. So I mean, I think if it says it should be 0.5, it should be 0.5, not 0.47 or 0.46, and you add it up, and there's 0.36 here that it's just, I can't read it. The other thing is nobody's paying any attention to, and we talked about it a year ago, the type of soil that's there is, there's lots 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 are all in Acton group soils. And if you look at the federal and state stuff, an Acton group soil, it's in group 3, and it says the last statement in their thing is there are also major limitations where this soil is used for residential and development limitations moved. Okay, for the 1, 2, and 3, it's totally within Hollis Gloucester stand soil, and that's Group 4 stuff, and Group 4 is crap compared to 1, 2, and 3. And those are totally within that. So, but I mean, it seems like all that just adds up to me to make it tough that 22 buildings should be in there. And then when you look at the wells in, it's funny here, the lot in well 7 with the well in lot 7 with its 70-foot radius, which they all have, and that's for everybody. It also covers over lot 8, lot 21, and a lot of the road. And so, if some poor guy that comes with 4 bedrooms, I'd be very careful. And I know there's situations where you can get it where your 75-foot radius goes in somebody else's property. But here, it's just ridiculous how they're overseeing things, and there's a lot of them that are in that situation. I just think that, and I know we're going to go through with it, but I think if I'm still alive 2 years from now, I don't think I'll be thinking that I'm looking at a very good situation.
Thank you for your comments. Doug?
I am Doug Bogan, Chair of the Conservation Commission. In general, just want to say that, this is much improved, continued to be improved from our perspective. I guess this is kind of the final plan, but, it's met a lot of our concerns in terms of the open space, public access, et cetera. We're still concerned, of course, about how the open space is to be conveyed or dealt with. I don't know when that negotiation happens, but we continue to reiterate that we prefer that there be a formal conservation easement, and also would like to recommend that the easement be held by Southeast Land Trust, seeing as they hold the easement on the adjoining property, the Goodwill lands. It just makes sense at least for the public access areas, that it also be held by CELT. I had some initial conversation with a representative from CELT on this, and they would, of course, prefer, and I think we would prefer, that the open space lands, at least the public access lands, be conveyed to the town and not held by the homeowner association or the property owner, whatever, and that would be much preferable in terms of being able to manage the lands and keep them protected, given that they are so sensitive. So that's our comments at this point. We'll certainly be interested to see the engineering in terms of the stormwater runoff. I'm sure that's still of some concern, although certainly much improved over the previous designs. So that's our comments at this point.
Thank you.
Bob Cavalry, 150 Young Road. I just wanted to mention one thing. There's been a big change in the plan. It looks a lot better as far as I'm concerned, but there's also a much higher concentration of houses in this area. Does that impact the previous hydrology survey? And I mean, would there be any need to redo that based on the density of the housing right here? Because I don't know, like, if that impacts, how many houses are sucking off that groundwater. I'm not a hydrologist, but it is a concern of mine, because it's also a lot, puts a lot of them a lot closer to my house, where I've had water issues before. My well's always recovered, but once 22 houses go in across the street from me, if my well goes dry and doesn't recover, what then? So just wanted to throw that out there in case it's worth redoing that survey. All right, thank you.
Thanks. Any more questions? Comments? Anybody online?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there's a gentleman online who would like to speak for or against the application.
Okay.
I believe it's Mark Branch. If you could unmute yourself and give your name and address for the record and any comments you may have. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, my name is Mark Brush. I reside at 114 Young Road. I just have a concern about lot 86. It's half a wetland, and I think it should be, there should at least be like conditional approval for this lot in particular, or ensuring drainage issues aren't passed on to the future homeowner. Since I live like directly across, I've experienced that firsthand, and had to put in thousands of dollars to mitigate a lot of the things that weren't addressed during the initial development. That is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Closing public hearing. Would you like to respond to any of these comments?
Yep. So in terms of soils analysis on the site, alteration of terrain requires a site-specific soils analysis, which we've done, which is pretty congruent with the NRCS soils that were found. Though the NRCS studies were done for primarily farming functions, that's not to say that these areas can't be built on. In fact, we build on Acton soils all the time. We build on Paxton soils all the time. These are Group 3 soils, and all that means is that from a DES lot loading standard, the standard in which you have to load on those soils goes up. And so we have to do a total loading analysis on all the soils for the entire project site, and then that determines how many gallons per day the site can actually load itself. In terms of the wells, well radiuses on adjacent lots, that is not a regulation that exists anymore in state subdivision or in construction approval practice. In the past, what we've done is provided well radius easements over boundary lines, which if DES is going to require that, we would provide that in this instance also. In terms of the hydrogeologic study, I have asked Abby to just update and or provide a memo that states that this design does not change her assumptions made and conclusions raised in the past, and if so, if she could opine on those moving forward, and we're happy to resubmit that to you as well. And then lot 8-6, which I believe is this lot here. As I stated, we'll provide grading plans for all of the lots in the subdivision to include that one, to show how we intend for that to be built and not have wetlands that drain into people's homes, and we're not excessively draining into wetland areas either. In terms of the open space will have a conservation easement on it because Fish and Game will require it and mandate it. We have not ironed out who will actually own the open space at this point, but it will be eased, and we'll discuss internally who is an appropriate holder of that land.
So you're suggesting someone other than the HOA?
I'm not suggesting that. We haven't come to a conclusion on that, and so I'm not here to offer one answer or another. There, at a minimum, there has to be a conservation restriction and or conservation easement placed on that property.
Okay, thank you.
So we'd like a continuance until your August meeting,
Okay.
so that we can finalize, submit things back to you, and then appear before you in August.
Make a motion to continue this to the August 27th meeting.
Second.
Roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Nap aye.
Happy LOI.
Jesse, you're right.
I heard
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item is 238-44-V-24 SR Parking, owner Virtuous Realty LLC.
I need to recuse myself.
Okay. This back to you.
We're doing 44 or 44-1 first?
44 is first.
I think it's parking one.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Christopher Berry with Berry Surveying and Engineering, representing the applicant here this evening. Since our last meeting, we have received comments from CMA, which were pretty light. We responded in kind with responses. I don't believe there was anything additional that came out of that additional review that required really any additional adjustment. One thing that I am asking the board, and I don't see it in the NOD, is that we would like to, and it might be that it's because we provided a plan for it and may not be needed in the NOD, but I just wanted to raise it as a discussion point tonight. We are proposing to phase the construction of the parking areas. So the rear parking area that we're proposing on lot 44 is not actually and technically needed to satisfy parking requirements. This is to pacify times that the applicant might have overflow parking demands. And so what we're asking is that a phased approach be permitted so that the front parking area be built and then the rear parking area be phased in as the applicant needs in the future. And again, we did provide a brief phasing plan that discusses that. Other than that, we have received our AOT permit, and I don't think that there's anything additional that we need to I guess there is one waiver, and I didn't think we needed the waiver. CMA seemed to think we may need the waiver. They didn't know. And so we've simply asked for a waiver. Article 4.9.7, off-street parking, loading standards, and this is interior landscaping. We felt as though we met our landscaping requirements. So as part of that waiver request, we're simply asking the board to basically approve and or agree that the submitted landscaping plan is adequate. And whether you need to do that as a function of a waiver or not is up to the board.
How does the board feel about giving the waiver?
I think it's the lowest risk way to go. I mean, it'll eliminate any possible pushback in the future. Right. I think it's when in doubt, caution is better. If somebody says down the road it was required and we didn't do it, I think it's a problem. So
yeah, and that's fine. We've done the work, so there's really no reason for you not to review it and vote on it.
Okay. Do you want to read the waiver into the record?
I would love to, John. I just need to find it.
Yeah, I know we're overwhelmed.
I seem to have the waivers for 44-1. Hang on.
I can read it.
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
Can we read it? I can read it for you, Chris. I have it right here handy.
Oh.
It's on the back side of the this one.
Oh.
If you're looking for it.
I guess I have the official.
Applicants are requesting a waiver from Article 4.9.7, parentheses 1, for off-street parking and loading standards for interior landscaping. Not granting the waiver would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and granting the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations.
I would like a little different language on that. Grant the waiver and accept the landscaping plan as presented.
Again, I'm sorry.
Accepting the landscaping plan as presented. I think that'd be better. Rather than just waiving all the landscaping requirements, say what they presented is fine.
Okay, so you're not accepting the waiver.
Accepting the waiver, but I'm also putting a language in saying we're waiving that, but accepting the landscaping plan as presented.
Where it says interior landscaping, you want as accepted.
Well, it's the details are in the package,
Right.
so we're approving that.
Yep, makes sense.
I think Mr. Allard's point is you're not waiving the requirement for landscaping.
Right.
You're agreeing that it's adequate and that it may not meet the regulations.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to open this to public comment on the waiver. Anybody have any comments or questions? Anyone online? Seeing none, we're closing public comment. We're going to vote on the waiver.
Take a motion, we accept the waiver as written.
I'll second that. Roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Capiano, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Allard, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Any additional information you need?
On the phasing plan for the parking lot, what's the timing on that?
Undetermined at the moment.
Undetermined.
Okay.
I mean, usually if you don't start construction within 12 months, you gotta.
So we would.
How would we do this one?
We would have the plans signed, so we would satisfy our 12-month requirement. And then we actually have 2 years to commence active and substantial completion. We would commence the front parking lot as part of that active and substantial completion. And then essentially we would be vested as part of the approval for the rear parking area. That would then be built as the applicant needs that as time goes on.
So that would satisfy the 25%.
That's right.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay. I get it.
I'm gonna, any more questions from the board? Comments? Then I'm gonna open it again to public comment on the application, or any comments pertaining to the application. Nobody online?
If there's anybody online for or against this application, please raise your hand if you'd like to make public comment.
Seeing none, I'm closing public comment. The board is to deliberate in any changes to the notice of decision.
I know the applicant requested for us to put a phasing plan on there. I apologize, Chris, can you tell me what page the
I don't know that I have it with me.
phasing plan?
Let's see, thought I saw that.
I didn't know if it was the color rendering or.
I think it's as simple as the board has reviewed and agreed
Just
with
the back part is what you were saying?
Yeah.
Phase 2. Okay.
That's right. Yep.
Just want to add that language, or?
Yeah.
Okay. We're continuing to read the notice of decision.
You want to start?
I was going to finish. No, I'll start.
No, I can start. Just remind me to put the
You're going to
phasing part in.
the phasing part in the general and subsequent, or precedent?
Yeah, well,
General and subsequent is where it
general and
belongs. Yep.
subsequent, because he's saying he wants the plan signed and then.
Right, makes sense. Okay, I'll start with conditions precedents and the following plan notes. A, at the May 7th, 2024 meeting, the planning board, the board approved the following waivers from the site plan regulations. Site review regulations, Article 4.12.2, table number 8, utilize medium activity lighting levels for low activity use and average levels. Item 2, site review regulations for 4.7.7, for instance 2, minimum drainage pipe design velocity. Item number 3, site review regulations, Article 4.7.7.3, minimum depth of pipe be 3 feet. Item B, at the June 4th, 2024 Planning Board meeting, the board approved the 9.6 special permit for construction in a wetland buffer for 14,011 square feet of permanent wetland buffer impact and 3,019 square feet of temporary wetland buffer impact. Item C, at the July 11th, 2024 meeting, the planning board and the board approved the following waiver from site plan regulations, Article 4.9.7, parentheses 1, off-street parking and loading standards, and the language you wanted was landscaping, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Make sure the language matches.
Right. Item number 2, have the following to the plan. A, the owner's signature. B, wetland scientist's signature. Item C, professional surveyor's signature. D, AOT permit number. And E, New Hampshire DES permit number. Item 3, prior to obtaining board signature, the applicant shall submit 3 full-size copies, paper copies of the subdivision plans, site plans, 1 11 by 17 copy and a PDF A/A format file format supporting documents with a letter explaining how the applicant addressed the conditions of approval to the town's land use department. Paragraph A, the planning board chair shall sign and date all plans meeting the conditions of approval. The board shall endorse 3 full-size paper copies of the subdivision plans, site plans for the records, and 1 11 by 17 copy and a PDF/A format file format for the case file folder. General and subsequent conditions. When no active and substantial work is commenced upon the site, plans to be approved, signed by the board shall expire 2 years from the date the plan is signed. An extension not to exceed 1 year may be granted by the majority vote of the board so long as it is applied for at least 30 days prior to the expiration date. The board may grant only 1 such extension for a proposed site plan. Expired plans must be submitted to the board for review to ensure compliance with these and all other town ordinances and regulations via the normal application process. And 2, no active and substantial work is defined in Article 13 definitions has commenced upon a site. Plans that are approved and signed by the board shall expire 2 years from the date of the plan is signed. New Hampshire RSA 674, section 39(2). An extension not to exceed 1 year may be granted by the majority vote of the board so long as it's applied for prior to the expiration date. The board may grant only 1 such extension for any site plan. Plans must be submitted to the board for review to ensure compliance with these and all other town ordinances and regulations. And 3, the applicant's engineer shall certify in writing that the plans have been constructed as approved prior to the issuance of a certificate of. The board wishes you the best of luck with your project.
I have an item 4. I'm ready.
Oh, item
sorry.
4.
You're not
What
on
item
autopilot.
4?
I'm sorry.
Go.
Item 4 just has the phasing options for the parking. So for phase 1 is referred to as the west parking lot for 25 spaces to be completed first. And the phase 2, which is the east lot of 99 new spaces to be completed second. Does that satisfy? Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, do you want to do the sign off since you signed it?
Wish you the best of luck. If you have any questions, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you on that one. Oh, we got a vote on the NOD now. Is there a motion to grant the notice of decision? I'll make that motion, seconded by
I'll second it.
Joyce was first. Roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Capiello, aye.
Jesse, aye.
Howard, aye.
Fiscal aye. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Stuff out of the way. I've got my fortification here. I've got a First Division bunker here. All right, next one is 238-44-1-V-24-SR, New TurboCam Inc. building Update, that doesn't right here. Map 238, lot 44-1 in the Village Zoning District. Okay.
So here again, Christopher Berry with Berry Surveying and Engineering representing TurboCam and whichever LLC they've decided to call that particular lot, 44-1. The plans had gone to CMA for review. Again, very few comments came back from that review. We replied. I think there were only two light outstanding issues. One had to do with a comment on the Eversource standard detail, which I really have no control over. And I forget what the second comment was about, but I didn't take any exception to it. We've also received an alteration of terrain permit on this particular project and well on our way with our other state permitting on this site. The project really has not changed since the last time we've been before the board. The CMA review found a few additional waivers that they felt we needed. The first is Article 4.7.73, minimum drainage pipe cover. I did not originally ask for this waiver because I didn't consider these particular pipes drain pipes. They are drain pipes from mechanisms on the outside of the building. So the cooling tower, other areas have weep drains that we've tied into our system that aren't 3 feet deep. I wouldn't ordinarily consider that a drain line that the ordinance really considers, but I asked for the waiver anyway. Article 4.9.6, Table 6, off-street parking and loading standards. This has to do with loading docks. Your regulations opine on the number of loading docks that a industrial user should have. I think the industrial user in this case knows how many loading docks they need for a facility, and it's not 5, it's 2, and so that's what we've proposed on the plan. 4.9.7, parens 4, internal shade trees. Here again, I didn't necessarily think that we needed this particular waiver. They felt we did, or they questioned whether we did, and so I've asked for it. We've provided for internal landscape islands where they seem to make sense, where they are operationally appropriate. We've provided for a large landscaped island at the entrance, and then we've provided for large amounts of perimeter landscaping trees. The perimeter does not have, nope, that's the next waiver. So those islands don't have internal shade trees because they are adjacent to buildings and other subsurface features that really should not have large shade tree root systems affixed to them. And then the last waiver that we're asking for is 4.10.2, parens 6, landscaping layout requirements, and this has to do with shade trees at the perimeter. If you'll recall, we have a large buffer perimeter along the front of the property. We then have the stormwater system, and then we are intentionally installing a retaining wall so that we can then plant shrubbery on the top of that wall to help break up the facade of the structure. The trees that we have proposed in that area are not shade trees, and that's here again because the root ball and mass for those trees would get so unwieldy that you could topple the wall, you could break your pavement up, other things that really we're trying to avoid. So the trees that were trees and shrubs shown as part of that perimeter landscaping are more slender and less shade trees. So those are the additional waivers that we're asking for. We are asking that, and I note that the NOD doesn't discuss the DOT permit. I would ask the board to allow the project to move forward to construction with a preliminary permit from DOT. The reason for that is we have access to our site now. So it's not a matter of whether or not we can have access to our site because clearly we have an active NHDOT permit. This comes down to we have produced a traffic analysis that kicks certain warrants for turning lanes, and we have provided DOT with a concept plan of what those turning lanes would look like. District 6 has moved that to their Concord office so that they can review the traffic analysis and they can review our concept plan. DOT then has to determine whether or not the turning lanes are warranted and whether or not our concept plan is appropriate. If not, we would get comment back on our concept plan. Once the concept plan is approved, we then get to design the full mitigation package, and then that goes through the cycle again. And so what we're asking the board to do is allow DOT to provide us a letter for a preliminary, yes, you have access to your site, pending these outstanding issues, allow a building permit for the project site, and then hold a CO for a final DOT permit.
Thank you. Any comments by anybody? Questions on the proposed waivers before we proceed?
Is that language in the NOD? For the preliminary DOT thing?
It's not part of the NOD, no.
Adding that.
The language I have is the applicant to submit preliminary approval from NHDOT for their driveway permit, I guess. And then in the general and subsequent conditions, certificate of occupancy to be issued after receiving NHDOT permit.
Mm-hmm.
Does that satisfy the board and the applicant?
Yep.
Sounds good. Okay, I'll read the waivers.
Public comment?
Oh, sorry. No.
We're going to do next step.
Read it and then you do that, right?
Waivers and the public comment, because that's what we've decided to do, like after each waiver, make sure there's
Do
no
a
public
public
comment
comment.
before you approve them. Read them since you read the last.
Go ahead. I'd still drive from that.
Yeah, I can tell. No, sorry, Mr. Chairman. The requested waivers from the applicant has 4 waivers. The first waiver is from Article 4.4, Article 4.7.7, Parentheses 3, the minimum drainage pipe cover. The minimum depth of cover for storm drains shall be less than 36 inches from the top of the pipe to the finished grade. Not granting the waiver would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and granting the waiver would be not contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations.
Thank you. At this point, I'll open public comment on that waiver. Anyone have any questions, comments? Anyone online? Hearing none, closing public comment. And is there a motion to grant this waiver?
Make a motion to grant this waiver?
I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Shepherd, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Howard, aye.
The second waiver the applicant is requesting is from Article 4.9.6, Parentheses 1, from Table Number 6 for off-street parking and loading standards. Not granting the waiver would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and granting the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations.
This time we'll open public comment for this waiver. Anyone have any questions? Nobody online?
I think there is somebody here
Oh.
who's got a hand
Oh,
up.
sure, come on up.
Just, where are these waivers on the agenda over here? Because I'm waiting for number 7, other business to pop up, and the sheet over there is the agenda for today.
Well, these are not on the agenda.
Okay,
These are in the application that the,
okay.
applicant
The new
submitted.
applications that's on here? No, something different. Like new applications, it's none of these.
We're not that far into the meeting yet.
You're not that far yet?
Correct.
right, let me get my,
Are you on number 4 yet?
we are on number
Number
3.
3.
You're on number 3?
6.3.
6-3?
Yep, it's called
That's not listed on here.
NHBBL LLC, Virtuous Realty.
6123. Okay, there.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Oh, that's
Easy question. Fine.
questions, good. Any more comments? Closing public comments on this. Is there a motion to grant the waiver?
Make a motion to grant the waiver?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Bob. Roll
Shepherd,
call,
aye.
please.
Masucci, aye. Gabriella, aye.
Tessie, aye.
All right.
Driscoll, aye. Thank you, all.
Number 3 is from Article 4.9.7, parentheses 4, for interior shade trees. The waiver would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and grant the waiver but not contrary to spirit and intent of the regulations.
I would make the same comment on this we made the last one, that we grant the waiver but accept the landscaping plan as presented.
Okay. Okay, for this waiver, I'm opening public comment. Seeing no public comment, closing public comment. Is there a motion to grant this waiver?
We'll grant this waiver?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Joyce. Roll call, please.
Shepherd, aye.
Masucci, aye. Gabriella, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Aye.
Driscoll, aye.
The next waiver is, the fourth waiver is from Article 4.10.2, parentheses 6, landscaping layout requirements. I can also add to accept the landscape plan as presented. Not granting the waiver would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and granting the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations.
This time, I'll open public comment on this waiver. Seeing no one, closing public comment. Is there a motion to grant the waiver?
I make a motion to grant this waiver?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Bob. Roll call, please.
Gotta be quick.
Shepherd, aye.
Masucci, aye. Gabriella, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Okay. Any questions on the notice of decision before we proceed with that? Going to open up public comment for anything related to this application, including the notice of decision.
If there's anybody online that would like to comment for or against this application, please raise your hand.
Hearing none, we'll close public comment. I'll start this time with you. Conditions precedent. Item number 1, add the following plan notes. A, at the April 17th, 2024 meeting, the ZBA meeting, a variance was granted to the zoning ordinance 4.2.2 parentheses 8. Variance will be needed to allow for development to be conducted in the green belt buffer. Item B, at the May 7th, 2024 meeting, planning board meeting, the board approved the following waivers from the site plan regulations. Item 1, Article 4.9.4, parentheses 1, Table 3, drive aisle width. Item 2, Article 4.12.2, Table 8, to utilize medium activity lighting levels for a low activity use and averages above the prescribed requirements. Item number 3, Article 4.9.12, parentheses 1, satellite parking greater than 300 feet away. Item number 4, Article 4.9.7, parentheses 6, conifer screening trees along public right-of-way. And item 5, Article 4.7.7, parentheses 2, minimum drainage pipe design velocity. Item C, at the May 7th, 2024 meeting, the planning board meeting, the board approved 2 3.4 conditional use permits for 1, Non-residential structures should not be exceeded a footprint of 50,000 square feet in size. 2, for light manufacturing use. Item D, at the May 7, 2024 Planning Board meeting, the Board of special permit for construction in a wetland buffer for 14,011 square feet of permanent wetland buffer impact and 3,019 square feet of temporary wetland buffer impact. Item E, July 16, 2024 meeting, Planning Board meeting, the Board approved the following waivers. Waiver from site plan regulations. Item number 1, Article 4.7.3, and 0.73 parentheses. Minimum drainage pipe cover. The minimum depth of cover for storm drain line shall be 36 inches from the top of the pipe to the finished grade. Item 2, Article 4.96, parentheses 1, Table 6, off-street parking and loading standards. Item 3, Article 4.9.7, parentheses 4, interior shade trees. Item 5, Article 4.10.2, parentheses 6, landscaping layout requirements. Item 2, go ahead.
Save your voice. Just to add to those last 2 waivers for E, 3, and 4, it was accepting the landscape plan as presented is in addition to. Item number 2A, add the following to the plan: owner's signature. B, wetland scientist signature. C, professional surveyor signature. D, AOT permit number. E, NHDES permit number. Item number 3 is the applicant address all final comments from the town engineer. Number 4, the applicant to submit a preliminary NHDOT approval for the driveway permit. Item number 5, prior to obtaining board signature, the applicant shall submit 3 full-size copies of the this should be site plan. 1 11 by 17 copy and PDFA file format with supporting documents. Letter explaining how the applicant addressed the conditions of approval to the town's land use department. The planning board chair shall sign and date all plans meeting the conditions of approval, endorsing 3 full-size paper copies of the site plan for the records, and 1 11 by 17 copy PDFA file format for the case file folder. Under general and subsequent conditions, where there is no active and substantial work has commenced upon the site, the plans are approved and signed by the board shall expire 2 years from the date the plan is signed. An extension not to exceed 1 year may be granted by majority vote of the board, so long as it is applied for at least 30 days prior to expiration date. The board may grant only 1 such extension for any proposed site plan. Expired plans must be submitted to the board for review to ensure compliance with these and all other town ordinances and regulations via the normal application process. Where there is no active and substantial work as defined in Article 13 definitions has commenced upon a site, plans are approved and signed by the board and shall expire 2 years from the date and plan is signed, reference NHRSA 674-39-2. An extension not to exceed 1 year may be granted majority of the board so long as applied for at least 30 days prior to the expiration date. The board may grant only 1 such extension for any proposed site plan. All other plans must be sent to the board for review to ensure compliance with these and all other town ordinances and regulations. Street view signage shall be 9-1 compliant and approved by the town of Barrington. Number 4, the applicant's engineer shall certify in writing that improvements have been constructed as approved prior to the issuance of certificate of occupancy. Item number 5, certificate of occupancy will be issued when receiving an NHDOT permit. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck on your projects.
At this point, I will open public comment on the notice of decision. Anyone have any comments? Seeing none, nobody's online. Closing public comments. Is there a motion to grant the notice of decision?
I move that we grant the notice of decision as stated.
Okay, seconded by,
I second that.
roll call, please.
Shepherd, aye.
Suchi, aye.
Capiello, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Let's go ahead.
Thank you for that.
request.
For the record, Andy's back.
What's that?
Is that you?
Yeah.
Mr. Knapp is back. Voting member.
Oh, we know, we hear them.
Clanking away, making my ruckus. Look,
We missed you.
You had like 3 meetings of quiet without me, so.
Item number 4, 220-11-GR-24- design owners Uden, Edwin and Ada Avalis. Request to continue to the August meeting, August 27th meeting.
That's it.
That's it. Motion to grant this continuance.
Motion we continue to the August 27th meeting?
I second that.
Seconded by Donna M. Roll call, please.
Shepherd, aye.
Napa.
Masucci, aye.
Capiello, aye.
Tessie, aye.
All right.
Driscoll, aye. Okay,
Thank you.
now we go to new applications. Item number 1, 102-82-84-GR-24-LL. Owners John A. Senior and Mary Hool. Request by the applicant proposing lot line adjustment on map 102, lot 82 and 84 Long Shores Drive. Please proceed.
Good evening, Christopher Berry with Berry Surveying and Engineering, representing the Hools here this evening. Pretty basic application. They actually own 3 lots. The lot that their house is on, which is 82, and then they've since merged the 2 small 50-foot lots that they own next to them on Long Shores Drive to create one larger lot known as 84. They've gone to the Zoning Board of Adjustments to receive variances for the construction that would take place on lot 84. And John has actually been before this board already for the private road items needed to develop this lot as well, and has approval from the select board to proceed in that fashion also. And so we're here tonight to conduct a lot line revision between these 2 parcels so that the existing well that services his home on lot 82 is then placed on that lot, and there's a minor revision between it and 84 so that approximately 1,674 square feet is revised between the 2 lots, and a proposed easement is created for the driveway, whereas it crosses the very front corner of lot 84. Topo, wetlands, well locations, leaching areas are all provided on sheet 2. And I would just point out for the notice of decision, there is no required DES permit for this particular project, so that's not needed as part of the NOD. I think that's it.
Board discussion on the application? Mr. Knapp.
I'm just curious, why would, excuse me, the ZBA not have ruled on this? Because we're being asked to rule on 2 non-conforming lots, and
They did.
They did.
They did.
right, but aren't we talking about a lot line adjustment?
Yes. So the applicant, I don't know, I guess you guys can talk about it. The applicant came before the zoning board on May 15th, and they granted 2 variances. One to keep the existing well with the home, and to allow for that non-conforming lot to be non-conforming. Could be less conforming.
Right.
Which clearly needs a variance.
And the variance, yeah, and the variance for setbacks.
So we
That
received
they could probably
a variance that would
put it on.
allow for us to do this lot line revision. That was the purpose for the first variance we received.
Right, I'm just, why would they not have ruled on the lot line adjustment, since you're asking us to rule on something that's already non-conforming, making it more non-conforming by jockeying it around, and by right of our position, we're not supposed to take and make something that's already non-conforming more non-conforming. The ZBA is supposed to do that
And the less conforming
job.
one got smaller. So,
Right,
yeah.
the ZBA is supposed to do that job, not the planning board.
But we did that.
Yeah, they got,
I know, but why would we be voting on a lot line adjustment then?
I think the real question is, what can we do? Well, how can we not?
That falls under the subdivision regulations, that's all.
It does, but we don't have the authority to make a lot less conforming.
Well,
But it's already-
you're not
it's
supposed to
already
look at that part.
Oh, God.
So can we at least
The hard
vote?
part's done. Whether it should have been done or you.
We vote that the application is complete. Is there a motion to,
I'll make a motion to accept application as complete.
Second.
roll call, please?
Shepherd, aye.
Aye, it's complete. It's just not within our scope.
Suji, aye.
Gabriella, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Alan, aye.
Driscoll, aye. At this time, I'll open public comments on this application.
Is there anybody online that would like to speak for or against this application? If you do, please raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, I don't see anybody online for this, public comment for this.
Closing public comment. Does the board have any further comments for the applicant?
I'm not trying to get into a big thing with you here, Andy, but we knew we're making it a lot more non-conforming. And so we went to the ZBA and asked them to bless that. We got a variance to allow us to create a more non-conforming lot. They can't, the ZBA is not empowered to actually approve a lot line revision. So once they allow us to create a non-conforming lot, we then come to the planning board so that you can then adjust the lot line.
I don't understand why they wouldn't have approved the lot line revision.
Well, it's a subdivision, some subdivision. Lot line adjustments and
They
subdivision.
only do zoning.
They only do zoning, so. You know, they don't follow the rules, they just break the rules.
It's the best gig going.
Only when I ask them nicely to, by the way.
And I'm not saying it shouldn't, it just doesn't align with the scope of what our role is. That's the part I was struggling with. That's why I was asking right from the get-go on it. And why I voted yes to accept the application as complete, because it is complete. It's just asking us to do something that really is not aligned with what the scope of our role is. It's to provide a lot line adjustment, but provide a lot line adjustment on lots that are conforming lots. And they may have gotten a waiver from it, but they should approve that change at that point.
I think it's.
Well, we
I think
made it
it's a
conforming
subdivision.
even though it's a non-conforming lot.
I think this is a subdivision, I think we have to approve lot line revisions.
Yeah.
Well, it's,
On zoning.
Yes. They can't
They got
do it.
approval to make it a non-conforming, more non-conforming. They got approval to go down to less conforming.
Yep.
So we have to approve the lot line to actually make that happen, which, like, I understand how you feel.
well, it's not how I feel. I'm just, according to our guidelines, it doesn't align with what I've read in our regulation.
So what would be your proposal?
I don't know. That's, I guess, I would kick it back to the ZBA, I would think, but.
They can't approve a lot line. That's out of their jurisdiction.
I know, but they approved it, they approved an amendment to it to make the lot less conforming, which is essentially approving the lot line without approving the lot line.
Well, I think they approved the lot size, not necessarily the lot, where the actual line falls, I think that's us.
It'd be the same as me asking for a variance for us to create a substandard lot anywhere else in the world. Instead of 80,000 square feet, I would ask for 60,000 square feet. So if I got an approval to create a 60,000 square foot lot, I would then have to come to the planning board to create that 60,000 square foot lot.
Any more questions? I'm going to read the notice of decision.
Well, any more answers, that's the go.
Right.
Okay. Conditions precedent. Item number 1, add the following plan notes. At the May 15, 2024 meeting, Barrington Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting, the board granted 8-1, a variance, Article 5, nonconforming lots, structures, and uses, Section 5.1.4 in the general residential zoning district to allow to keep existing well with home on Long Shores Drive, map 102, lot 84, on a 0.53 acre lot in the general residential zoning district. Item 2, a variance from Article 4, Section 4.1.1, Table 2, the front and side setback requirements for general residential zoning district to allow a new home to be constructed. The proposed front setback is 33.1 feet, where 40 is required, and the proposed side setback is 18 feet, where 30 feet is required. Item 2, add the following to the plan. Zoning district is all properties, including abutters. B, owner's signature. C, wetland scientist signature. D, professional surveyor's signature. E, each parcel to have a total uplands and contiguous uplands labeled. F, right away to be dimensioned on the plan. And G, state subdivision number.
Mr. Chairman, G is was not needed for this application.
What's that?
Item G was not required for this application.
Oh,
I put
okay.
in there an error.
Sorry, we can
That's okay.
scratch
He
that
asked
one out.
he asked to scratch it out. So that's not
Number
right.
3, subdivision recording fees to be paid. A, exact recording fees and return shipping to be determined by the Stratford County Registry of Deeds. Payments need to be payable to the Stratford County Registry of Deeds. Town staff will provide the costs when plans are submitted for the planning board chair. Item B, L-chip fee, $25 payable to the Stratford County Registry of Deeds. Item 4, certificate of monumentation installation submitted to the town. Proper and complete survey monumentation shall be installed on the properties as a condition of final approval of the application. The applicant surveyor shall certify in writing that the bounds and pins have been installed according to the submitted plan. Item 5, prior to obtaining board signature, the applicant shall submit 2 full-size paper copies of the subdivision plans, 1 11 by 17 copy in a PDA format file format with supporting documents as required, with the letter explaining how the applicant addressed the conditions of approval to the land use office. The planning board chair shall sign and date all plans meeting the conditions of approval. The board shall endorse 2 full-size copies of the subdivision plan for their recordings and 1 11 by 17 copy in a PDF format file for the case file folder. General and subsequent conditions. Item 1, street view signage shall be 911 compliant and approved by the town of Barrington. Item 2, 911 addressing for the 2 lots will have to be established. Note, in both sections above the numbered conditions marked with a number sign, all conditions below the number are standard conditions on all or most applications of this type. I'll hand it off to you to wish.
Thank you, and I wish you the best of luck in your project.
I'm so excited.
So there you go.
Woohoo! Let's get this
Thank you,
done.
Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
John is finally excited.
All right. Somebody want to make a motion to grant the notice of conditional approval, notice of decision? I'll make that motion, seconded by,
I'll second.
roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Nap abstain.
Gabriella line.
Tessie, aye.
All right.
Fiscal aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right. Next up, we have new application item number 2, 235-7-TC-24-SR, change of use, owner of FMH Health Services LLC. Request by the applicant for a minor site plan for a change of use from medical office to municipal buildings and uses for the town library and waiver. The location is 426 Caleb Highway, map 235, lot 7, the Town Center zoning district, by the Barrington Public Library trustees. Welcome. Hello.
Hi, I'm Susan Gaudiello. I'm chair of the Barrington Library Trustees. And with me is Jim Anderson, who's the facilities manager, who's been working closely with our building committee on redesigning the existing Frisbee medical building. So I know you're all aware of that plan for transforming this building. The town negotiated with the owners to purchase the building, and the voters approved the purchase of the building and funds to renovate it into a library. We are not changing the footprint of the building. We're not enlarging it. This is exactly the external, but we're gutting the interior And all these white things are future bookshelves and furnishing. So I thought I'd bring that along to show you where we are in the internal design. Questions for us?
Questions by the board?
Conditional use, right? So.
Okay.
And Jim has been communicating with DOT, I mean, right?
Yeah, we've applied for our change of use for the driveway permit.
You can sit there if you want, just bring the microphone with you.
Jim Anderson, Facilities Manager. We've applied for the change of use for the driveway permit, and it's in the review process now.
Okay, I'm going to open public comment on the waiver. Yeah, let's read the waiver first, John. Wake up.
For you. How about I give you a
Okay, you read it.
The applicant is requesting the requirement to have all site plans prepared and stamped by a professional engineer. The boundary monuments to be certified by licensed surveyor per section 3.1.1 of the site plan review regulations. This is because they're using a site plan that was already approved on site, since they are not changing anything on the site. It's all interior work, with the exception of, well, it's still not going to affect the site itself, but with the exception of the DOT change of use permit. Not granting the waiver would pose an unnecessary hardship on the applicant, and granting the waiver should not be contrary to spirit and intent of the regulations.
Thank you. Public comment is still open. Seeing none, I am closing public comment.
I do have a little question.
Oh,
About
sure.
when would this?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to come up to the microphone
Identify yourself.
and identify yourself for the record.
For the record.
George McKenzie,
Okay.
Hall House. All I want to know is, when will this open? It's great, because I went by it today and said, oh, look at, that's a nice building.
I'm sorry, can you say your name and address for the record?
Oh, Hall House, 67 Homestead Lane.
And that's the most frequent question that is
Oh, I
asked.
bet, I bet. Because I've
If
been
we're-
going to that old one for a long time, and,
Well, you can still keep going. to
oh,
that
oh, yeah,
old-
I know, but I.
For the next,
This other
for
one
the
looks
next year,
better.
if all goes
Oh.
really well
Oh,
and
for
we don't
about a
run in,
year.
we don't run into any glitches, we'll be ready to move in next summer. So we're anticipating and hoping we'll be opening the new library by the end of the summer. And we are, it's going to be quite a process because, as you may all know, the old library is becoming part of the recreation department as a larger community center. So we have overlapping time frames. So it's an interesting time, exciting time, but we do expect we'll be open mid to late summer 2025.
Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any more comments? Seeing none, I'll close public comments. Motion to grant the waiver.
I move to grant the waiver as stated.
Thank you, Joyce.
I was just going to second it or make the motion until Joyce beat me to it.
Okay, seconded by
Capra, aye.
Andy. Roll call.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
bye.
okay.
Suchi, aye.
Capello, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Driscoll, aye. And vote that the application is complete. Need a motion for that.
Is that for you?
Make a motion to accept the application as complete.
I'll second that. Roll call.
Shepherd, aye.
Yeah, bye.
Suchi, aye.
Capello, aye.
Tessie, aye.
All right.
Driscoll, aye. Going to open public comment for the NOD.
For the application.
Oh, for the application. Seeing none, I'm closing public comment.
I'll read this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll read the short one. The application was conditionally approved for a change of use from medical office to municipal buildings and uses. It was reviewed in accordance with the Town of Barrington Site Plan Review Regulations for non-residential uses and multi-family dwelling units as amended on May 17, 2022, and the Barrington zoning ordinance, which was amended on March 12, 2024. The application has met all the town ordinances and regulations of the town of Barrington. At the July 16th, 2024 Planning Board meeting, the board approved a waiver for the requirement to have all site plans shall be prepared and stamped by a professional engineer. Boundary monument shall be a certified licensed surveyor per section 3.1.1 of the site plan review regulations using the site plan that's on file. The precedent conditions, there's one, it's just a copy of the driveway permit from NHDOT for the change of use prior to certificate of occupancy. The only general and subsequent conditions were discussed that the business hours will stay the same for the library, which is Mondays 10 to 6, Tuesdays 10 to 8, Wednesday 10 to 8, Thursday 10 to 6, Friday 10 to 6, Saturday 10 to 3, closed holidays and Sundays and holidays. Any changes to site use for the operation of the business require reapplication and review by the planning board. Thank you, and I wish you the best. Good luck with your project. Thank you.
And
No, it hasn't been approved yet. No, it hasn't been. No, it hasn't been.
Is there a motion
We got to
to
vote.
approve it?
We haven't voted yet. One more minute.
Okay, I'll make that motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Separate eye.
Nap aye.
Suchi, aye.
Capiello, aye.
Tessie, aye.
Alan, aye.
Fiscal aye. You're all set?
Now you're set. Who wants to leave us so quick?
Yeah, they wanted to get out of here. I don't blame them.
It's about to start raining.
Okay. Beg your pardon? Oh, is it?
Supposed to. Oh, I don't hear it.
I don't hear any thunder yet, but, okay. Okay, next item is 260 and 268-GR-24-LL, owner Jacob Ellis, JE Development LLC. Welcome.
How you doing?
Good.
Jacob Ellis, manager of JE Development LLC. Been up a couple times for the subdivision on Garrier/Homestead, the one that's been around for a long time. This is the new print that we've come up with, what we talked about the last time of changing the front lots to meet the merging and the subdivision standard of what we were talking about. And if there are any other questions, Steve with Civil Works is the engineer, and he can help you guys out with any questions you have.
Good evening, Steve Hood with Civil Works. As Jake just mentioned, this is the subdivision that he's purchased, basically the land from the town of Barrington. He's doing a lot merger and a minor lot line adjustment plan as well, and modification of the conservation area that's associated with this as well, and I'll show you those through the plans. And I think the only other item there is the upgrades to the Class 5 roads that would be required as well for the town maintain the roads. Nice. You guys are all familiar with this. I know he's been here a couple of times talking through this with you guys. So in general, what we're talking about is merging these lots here, merging these lots here. Becomes a public right-of-way, and then you have a back lot here. You went from 23 lots to 12. We've taken the conservation area that was here on these lots and added it to all these residential lots have all gone away. This becomes a conservation area. So the area that was originally approved on the subdivision has been equalized with the lot areas here, as well as lot adjustments here to be able to add land, which right now on your assessor's map calls it Town of Barrington land. And if you look at the notice of decision, it's apparently not. But we have to show what's on your records. So that's what the plan is. So if when the assessor comes back to us and tells us what the proper ownership is to show, we will show that on the drawing. But in reality, all we're really talking about is merging a couple of lots. You have a lot here, merging these four lots into one lot here. These lots stay the same. The right-of-way areas revert back to the lot areas that were here. You still have private access to the, in this case, the conservation area in this area, and I'll show you a conservation plan as well. And then actually one of the comments as well was to show driveways to these lots as well, which we do have shown on the topo plan as well. You have these plans in your package. It's easier to show you on this right now. So each of these house lots does have its own driveway, showing these as well, with access to each one, whether it's on the public right-of-way here, which is part of the conversation that Jake has had with the fire department as well, in terms of how much land area they need for the fire truck for access, and then the private road up here as well. One of the comments was this was Homestead Lane all the way around. It's going to be public to here, but this is being private, and we're working with the town right now to figure out what to call it, whether it's Homestead Lane Private or some other name, which when we come up with that, we'll just change that on that plan as well for you. And of course, another important item for you guys here is this is the minus is the land area that's being taken away and added to, and the plus is being added to the conservation area. So basically, there was 9 acres, a little over 9 acres of conservation area that was on the lots down the front. We've taken those and taken the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lots out back and just swapped the conservation area from the portions in front to contiguous with what the town, if the town owns it, the town land that's back here as well. So it's a larger area. So part of your review this evening would be to accept this this swap of the conservation area, which does have to go to the AG's office as well, just for final approval. But other than that, it was a previously approved subdivision. We're not adding any additional lots to it. We're actually removing lots and merging lots. So you're going from 22, 23 down to 12. And this 12 here has a conservation land area as well for about 9 acres. That's kind of quickly as a broad view. If you guys have specific questions, I can get into that. We did have a TRC meeting with staff. We've met with John Huckins a number of times. We met with Vanessa as well as the assessor. We talked about what type of paperwork would be. It's gone through a number of iterations to be able to be clear on the plan as well as the documentation as to what lots are being merged and how they become that. And what we're going to do for the assessor is to create individual lot merger documents for these two, these here, as well as these, so that she has an opportunity to follow that through with the tax cards. I don't know what else you would have for questions at this point, if you have any at all. This is essentially a lot merger. And
I have a question. This right here.
Yes.
Is that a right of way for the wetlands, the conservation area, or what exactly is that?
Yeah, so the original subdivision plan had public access off a public way to the open space. So from the conversations we've had is to be able to maintain that, so you still have the public access, is that access all the way down along the back side. But you also have this access off of Homestead Lane up here to
That one's gone into the private road.
this right here?
Yeah, that's gone.
Yeah. This is private.
Yeah, but that private road's gone.
If he gives it to him. That's private. You haven't given it to him yet. You can't give that land to him. That's actually a private 25-footer. So that would be their access for the town from the private road. So that was the intent, to show that we were maintaining the intent of the original subdivision approval.
Where is the public access to the conservation area now?
It would have been.
Yeah. It would have been along this side here. There was, the access was along this side here as well.
Was or is?
Was.
So the original, in the original print, the public access was right there through this lot right there. The same distance was on this road right here.
And where is it now? Where do you propose it?
So it's still on a public road right here.
So you moved it down?
Yeah, so you would have contiguous lot areas for residential house lots.
So it's still the same distance of public access, it's just, instead of on this road, it's just on road area. It's the same size, it's just not on, so we can get the driveways and stuff in, so someone's not like walking down the middle of their driveway.
To the conservation area.
On the previous one, you were here for that, we were requiring some parking to provide access.
You do have, this is the public access here now. You would have potentially, actually, actually, it's a good question. We have not actually provided any public parking, public right of way.
The last time we were here for the conservation side, the parking hadn't changed because there was never any parking originally when we talked about it. Because if the subdivision had gone through originally, there was still no public parking at all on any print for the original one. And I know parking, I don't think was ever, because I would have put it on the print if parking was brought up.
Maybe we didn't get that far.
Yeah, well, we have another bite at the apple.
Yeah, because usually we,
Yeah.
how's the public going to get access if there's nowhere?
Yeah, because I mean, this is from here to here, this is the giant cistern, so this whole road on either side, there's no houses, it's just pavement on either side, so that's why we elected to move it over here, because this whole road, there's parking up and down the whole road.
So you're just saying parking on the edge of the road?
Yeah, because right here, there's a big cutout on the side for just be on the side of the road.
That's for the cistern, right?
The cistern's there.
Well, the cistern's on the other side. It's not right in the front of that.
Okay.
Would that serve as parking? And following issues and...
But we can't designate parking on somebody else, essentially on somebody else's lot.
Yeah, so we don't have the opportunity at this point to revise any of the existing lots that are here.
Right.
As well as this, the right-of-way actually exists as it is right now. So, but I mean, that's a good question regarding public parking, but this is not a through road, as you know. It cul-de-sacs back to itself.
Well, on a Hampstead Lane, private, you got a hammerhead at the end, right?
This here?
No, way up, I think.
Up top here?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is private all the way back down over here, that's correct.
You got a hammerhead.
Yep.
Why couldn't you put it through?
Well, that's going away.
That's going away because that becomes part of that lot. So that is a lot, a single-family house lot with the conservation area on it.
All the roadways went away.
How many
So
acres?
Where does fire and emergency turn around?
For the public one?
Well,
Here?
just to get
Yep.
fire and emergency back in there, how do they access it and turn around?
Come up here, the hammerhead, and then come back.
Okay, there's the hammerhead.
This is these are for what kind of houses?
So single-family,
Family?
know what you guys have.
Steve, where's the school bus going to turn around on that? Because they can't back up.
Yeah, so school buses can't, from what I understand, they cannot go on a private way to pick up students. You have this is actually a whole section here. You got a big T intersection here where they actually can turn around right there. So what I understand is that when school children they congregate in one location, they come here and they can turn around there.
And school buses aren't to back up.
Nope, school buses can back up. Is that what you just asked?
From what I understand from the bus department, they're not allowed to reach when they have students in the bus.
Yeah.
And you can check on that.
I will.
Yeah.
I honestly, God, I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Does the school bus currently go down there?
I have no idea.
There.
I have no idea.
The house kind of sits up
Check
on
on
the
that,
hill.
Steve.
Does the school bus go down there? No. Where's the school bus stops at the? Goes on the main road. That's a good question. I've never known that. It makes sense. I got to run over a kid if he's yeah. But if so, do you think if I may, sorry, Mr. Chair, can I talk to?
Sure. are, end of the night, very informal. Well, I could open it to.
If you would, that's fine, if you would, that'd be great.
Go on, go ahead. Again.
So in
name-
regards to, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Paul. So Paul, if you.
Hi there.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah. These are my places.
Yeah.
And this road does not exist now.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
And your comment or question was?
oh, as far as I know, comes down here and goes out that way. Because this doesn't exist, this
Right.
doesn't exist. And none of these people here have children.
So the Barrington bus would have to come down St. Matthews. It doesn't come
Yeah.
up through Nottingham,
No.
and it must turn around.
Well, I can't even say that that's true, because you see, if it came down
Right. You got
this
to Route
road,
4 and came around?
it would just be just a little bit in Nottingham.
Yeah, that's a long stretch of Garrier all the way up.
Yeah, going down this way, yes, well, it's a long walk.
Okay.
But tell you the truth, I haven't really paid attention to where it comes from, so you just call them.
Good, thank you very much.
Well, thanks for that.
Thank you. And if that was a public hearing, I'm closing it.
Is there anybody online that would like to speak for or against this application? Do we have public comment at this time? No public comment.
Okay.
Cover us.
Okay, any questions from the board as we listen here?
Well, just clarifying, you'll look to see if you can figure out. where
Yeah,
the public can-
I'll call the school department.
Well, I was thinking public access for the conservation. You'll take a
Well,
second look at that.
Well, so what we're proposing is exactly that, right down in through this area. So the real question is, how do we provide, if you're asking for parking, and this is your right of way.
We'd have to see if the police.
I guess if it's town property, I guess.
Is it safe?
I mean, conservation is, to the extent possible, is supposed to provide access to it. To me, that means parking. So I think that this is not me, but parking makes sense. It's not property, so difficult one.
Yeah, we're not trying to make it difficult. I think we're just trying to take what was here before that is not being utilized at all, shrinking the number of lots, and then, putting into what you see.
Yeah, the old land is a good place to put parking in, and there isn't.
Who will hold the conservation easement?
So we really don't know just yet. That's part of the conversation
I'll
with the
open
town.
public comment again.
We do.
So do you own, come on up, Doug.
Public comment when you want to, not Doug.
Doug Bogan, Chair of the Conservation Commission. It's a little confusing because there's two different lots, if you will. There's the town land here and back up here. And then there's the development land. Yeah, that's the rest of that. I was out there helping with the monitoring last time we came around, and we're all treating it all as one. But my understanding is all the easement is the town's. So we monitor it, we manage it. I do have some questions though about these strips. I wasn't able to follow your presentation from the back, but we do kind of wonder about how much actual access, particularly here. I mean, this is wetlands.
A little wet.
It's wet, so I don't see what kind of access that maintains.
Requirement going up the
Our preference would be to get rid of that or not. It doesn't provide any value for us. And, you know, if there's a half acre or something that you've got in that strip, to add it somewhere else. I don't know if that's possible to do, but that would be our preference.
Do you have access to any of your properties on private roads and with a parking lot on a private road?
Well, I mean, for monitoring purposes, we just go and park wherever we can, but obviously that's not really good
But
for
there
the
are no
public.
trails on this property or anything?
No, there
It's
aren't
to
any.
invite
There are
people.
trails on the adjoining land. It's
Okay.
Mendham's Landing.
Right,
And,
right.
and they do seem to get used quite a bit. So there is access from over
Yep.
here and up there, you know, from, I guess, Mendham's
Yep.
Landing Road.
Yep.
But it would be preferable certainly to have some parking area somewhere in this vicinity to be able to access those lands if we're going to maintain public access.
Right.
Doug, how usable is that conservation area? Because my understanding was it was all fairly soupy to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, this is mostly wetlands here. There's upland in the back there. Like I said, there are trails through the Mendham section that run right along the border, and I could imagine, you know, extending some of those trails. But I don't think the Trails Committee has looked at it as yet, because obviously it's been, you know, to be determined what.
So are you saying, Doug, just because of the way that topography is, they are actually going to access, residents will access it from Mendham's Landing trails?
Well, the local residents certainly would, and they're probably the most people that would use it. But I think we would prefer that there's some public access from, you know, one of these roads here.
Because
So,
we can't get to the Mendham's.
The problem is on these roads, this is a private, and that's why we kept the public access.
mhm.
Because the
But I'm
public
saying
access was
that,
there before, and then.
yeah, but I'm saying that is not an access. I mean, you're walking
Well,
through a wetland.
Yeah, and we recognize that fully, and like I said, what we're trying to do is maintain the intent of what the original approval was. We're not being, I don't think we're able to do exactly, if this was a brand new subdivision, it'd be a different approach, but this is not. This is basically taking an old subdivision, reconstituting it into a lot less lots, and still trying to maintain the intent of what was there. And you know, we had not had an opportunity to meet with Doug to go through some of these items, but the idea that we've had the conversations with was to create as big a contiguous land area as possible with, whether it's a town-owned land or not, with the conservation area that would be on that lot, restricted as well, but then you'd have all that land area that was essentially conserved. If it's accessed from Mendham's, fantastic. But I mean, this is not a clean, easy to say A, B, and C. We're trying to do the best we can with what's available. So that's why that little strip is the intent.
And Doug, you're saying the Mendham's Landing is really private? For access?
I think that's a class 5 road.
I can show you something here.
Take this with you.
Okay, so I told you, this is where I live. This is Homestead Lane. In the last 5 years, lots of people either walking from out here somewhere or parking on this walk down through here, and the Mendham's Landing trail starts right there. And there is a trail that goes to that. And from that trail, you can go down all the way to the dam on the lake, or go around this way and several other ways that are all on the Mendham's Landing. And as I say, in the last 5 years, it has really started to be used.
So that,
And see, nobody else knows this, but I see the people going by because I live right there.
So there's informal parking on a private road.
Exactly. There's really only a couple of people that park there, and they take their dog out and like 2 or 3 times a week. But a lot of other people walk from who knows where and walk out in there.
but that does seem to be where the main access would be. And if we're doing the monitoring, that's where we would act. In fact, we did the previous time, went through there and also over here to get over into this section. You know, of course, when this was part of the easement, we walked up through there. But I would think that would be, if that's possible somehow, to allow for public to get through there, even parking somewhere in here and walking over there.
Private road to get to all these.
Yeah, I understand that that's not
In other words, don't
public.
advertise it, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a major access, but it would be good, and certainly for ourselves, to be able to access it that way. So,
Like now's the time to fix it, but.
but if you could only do it on a class 5 road, you're only stuck with that little bit by the cistern. That's the only thing
yeah,
available.
I mean, it's not that far. I guess people could
That would
walk
eat
from there
into
too.
that lot.
Well, why don't we take this and move it right to there? I mean, instead of this going down, why isn't it right there?
So what? I'm sorry. Nope. Nope. On this plan or this plan? This plan here?
I
think that's the one he's in.
They have the big hatched area up
Where your
top.
finger is right there. That's
Yeah.
conservation land. So why wouldn't the right of way?
No, because this right now is a private right. It's a private way.
Yeah, but your conservation land goes right to the middle of that thing, right?
This is a conservation easement on these lots.
Show me where the land is, where land starts. Conservation property starts
Keep
right where
going
your
up.
finger is, right?
Yep.
Actually, no.
Oh, it starts right there with the hatches?
Yeah, this is a conservation easement
Okay.
on a lot. This is a private road. So that land from the private road, because it reverts back to the landowners either side of it.
Right.
Whose lot is this?
This here
Yeah.
is basically the new lot off of
Combining those two lots.
combining these two lots.
That's 78 and 70 or something.
And its access is off Homestead Lane.
It is here on Homestead Lane off this 50-foot to here.
And then going, oh, you're proposing doing away with the, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out where's the access then to the proposed conservation lot? No. On the plan set here, this is a lot. It's a
No,
designated lot.
no, it's not. This is conservation area of this lot. This is a,
Two separate lots here.
yeah, this is a single-family house lot with the conservation area on it.
Here and here.
Yep, two separate house lots.
And then this, from the back end of it, up and over, back down to here and over is a lot, correct?
No, that is conservation land of that lot.
Okay, it's all tied to that one lot.
That's correct. So the rest of it is conservation easement across all these lots, just the way it was in the original subdivision plan. This was all conservation easement across all these individual house lots as it came all the way back. And then it came back, I don't know how it came back through the back corner, but then you had these 9 house lots. We're just taking these 9 house lots and creating conservation.
So I think and correct me if I'm wrong, but what Ron is saying is, why not make
Why
that
not do that?
connection? Yes, or not even.
Because it's private.
This is all private.
It's private.
This I thought was part of the new lot they created, right?
But
No,
right now, Carrier Drive is private.
That's property right now.
This
Why
whole,
can't we just move over there?
this is all private. All of that is private.
Yeah, right when St. Matthews,
Saying no-
it ends.
Well, you say no trip?
Right, but Garrier Drive
I thought
is
he just said
listed.
they walk down that road all the time right now.
Yeah, but they do, but it's private.
Yeah, it's not legal.
Because the people own to the center of the road, so they are trespassing technically, but nobody bothers them probably, right? I mean, if you have 50 cars, it might bother them, but the other gentleman said there's 3 or 4 cars.
So Garrier Drive is public to here.
Yep.
This is this fire truck turnaround and all that type of stuff. This is public out this way.
Yep.
And this is all private.
Okay.
One of the questions you had was these 2 here. There is a little wetlands crossing here, which we'll be coming to see you in a couple of weeks. But that's not part of you know, planning board.
I think it depends on Doug, how
Can you-
important access is.
I guess my question is, could you park on Garrier and then access it a different, like, by saying, okay, you have to walk up here and then come in?
I could park near the cistern and walk down the new road.
Yeah, as Mr. Driscoll had indicated, I think the idea is if you park here, you know you have access here. That would be your legal access, but if people are coming in through here and there is no one's complaining about it, they can walk there. I'm not condoning it. Make no mistake, people, we're not condoning that, but I'm just saying that that's the reality of that situation. I can't solve the problem that existed from before, other than to try to get it as close as to the intent as possible. But two of the things that we really want to talk to you guys about, you guys know, I mean, basically it's a lot merger. It's a lot merger, a couple of lot line adjustments for the ability to gain more conservation area. If we were doing a lot merger plan, essentially we wouldn't be here. We'd just be talking to you about the lot merger plan going through the assessor. But the lot merger, as well as the lot line adjustment, was to be able to take a lot of the conservation area and put it up there contiguous what I'm going to call it the town land. With the town land, so you guys would have access from other areas as well. Then it met the intent of everything that you guys had previously approved. And knowing that we're going from 23 lots down to 12. Fire department, giving them their access that they required. They also talked about location to the cistern. We've already talked to them about that. But other than that, it's really letting you guys see what the proposal is based on what the town had done to sell the property. They had required that the applicant come back to the planning board for you to review this. Second, take a look at the easement, the conservation easement. You guys give a positive recommendation for that, so we can give that letter to the AG's office so that they can change the use in terms of who's actually. You've changed where it is, so the use is going to be, the AG has to approve that. So we need a positive recommendation for that. Also, we're going to go to the selectmen to upgrade the Class 5 road. This would be maintained. This would be paved, and this would be the 20-foot wide gravel with 2-foot shoulders where necessary on the private drive, 16 2 and 2. We have cross sections on the plans that are in the record in terms of what that would be. And in terms of the conversation with Vanessa, what she has in the notice of decision draft, where was it? Oh, same thing. There is no DES number for this because it's already existing subdivision. So a lot line adjustment, a lot line merger doesn't require a state permit for that. So H wouldn't be required. The right-of-way, in terms of dimension, it is actually identified, but we would add the additional. So the comments she had here is really not a big deal. We don't have a problem with most any of these. But the two things that we just need you guys to vote on apparently is accepting the subdivision as amended, the conservation area as amended, and we're going to pause a recommendation going to the select board for the upgrades to the Class 5.
A motion to accept the application is complete.
Second?
Roll call.
Second,
Gabriella, aye.
That's your eye.
Allard, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Now, open public comment on that application. Any comment? Closing. Any further issues you wanted? I think we covered about everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy with the access, but it's site-specific conditions, I think, make it difficult, but not unreasonable.
I'm going to read the notice of decision. You want to do the first part? I'll do the second part.
Before you read that, can we just talk a couple of the other items here?
Sure, I'm sorry.
Sorry. One was the DES number. The other one in here was setting all the monuments. We'd have to go find out which monuments are actually there to find out which ones. So we don't reset the monuments for along the road, all the ones that were there. Are your monuments in place around your lot?
Some of them are, but like One of the places that I own. Let's see, where are we? Somewhere in here. Yeah, this here, I always assumed that it went right down there, and, and so when I see this, it is very peculiar. You see how, because I own this property right here, and it's very weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
And none of it was, there were no pipes there or anything like that. So I just assumed it followed that and came down here. When I saw that, I said, what the heck?
Well, actually, there is for whatever reason, there's actually a lot of record there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of weird.
I put an iron rod there where I thought it was supposed to be, but now that, but now that I see this.
No, wait a minute. I guess my point, all I want to clarify is the only monuments that we're going to set are the ones associated with the lots here, not the lots of record. So we're not going to be setting monuments on the interior. We're just going to be setting the monuments for any monuments that are necessary for the lots of record that have been merged for this. That's all I want to clarify.
Okay. What about the new conservation areas? Are those have to be monumented too, right?
Yeah, we'd monument the corners of those, like we normally would, yes.
Well, our requirements are every 300 feet, so in wetlands, if you got wetlands, it can be a problem. So
yeah.
You want a waiver, huh? I think he's going to need a waiver for that.
All right, we'll request a waiver for the monuments in the wetland areas. Good point.
Any comments by the conservation?
Probably every 300 feet can be a problem.
Yeah.
Or if you could just take a video, because I want to watch you out there, like driving that way.
Invited for a site walk.
She's working on the waiver. Thank you very much. Here's the thunder.
Yeah, it's been raining for like 20 minutes.
Oh.
Get here quick.
Yeah. And of course, the leather, right? Yeah. For 5 minutes. Too late now.
Are we ready to rock it? What do we wait for you?
I'm trying to get what art.
You want me to do the?
Are we for the monumentation? Well,
Yeah, the 300 feet.
Monumentation.
Oh, okay.
Should have told me I could help. I said could, maybe. It's been a subdivision, right? Yeah, subdivision. Place. Subdivision place.
Are there any established snowmobile trails on that property? Established.
No. Jake is a snowmobiler.
It's going to be a heck of a mud bog and four-wheeler trail, though.
I forgot to tell you that there is a trail in here that goes all the way down to the
Page 18.
to the lake through
Monuments.
through the
5.3.2
and also
parentheses 17.
through whoever owns that other big piece of land down there.
It's
right
not there?
to the water.
The Mintoms.
That's just beyond my house. My house is here. Right? Yeah. You go that way and you go down to the dam. You go this way and you go down to the water, like way from the.
Mintom's trail is all marked out with
Yeah.
orange.
Yeah.
These.
Let's wait.
Wetlands
Let's wait till
existing in
102, 103 temperatures.
Yeah.
At noontime. Been challenging.
About $1.50.
The good thing is you don't get any service calls in this.
Then the subdivision there, right? Use your computers, put in three.
Just leave.
Take it back. I take it back.
I found it.
Okay, good.
We should, you want to take a 3-minute break?
I found it.
Yeah, we're an official 3 minutes, 5 minute break. They can go do their business.
Just for 300 feet or? Because he's talking about the 300 feet right here. That's probably what you want to ask for a waiver for, but I don't know if there's other things in here you wanted to ask for.
No, it refers.
Just specifically this one is what I'm assuming. One that he's the Button Street.
Yeah. I guess we're asked for a waiver to 11.3-33. Oh.
You want to read that?
Well,
The
I'd
monument.
like to word it correctly, but I don't know.
The monument shall be placed no more than 300 feet apart in any straight line.
Yeah, you can ask for a waiver for that, but where site conditions such as wetlands don't allow it.
Or as site conditions don't allow.
I was going to make a motion.
As written. Move as written.
Sorry, Ron?
Ron?
Huh?
Did you want to add something else to it? Sorry, the wetlands, I already lost it.
Well, unless you can't reach it because.
Or where it cannot do it because the site conditions are, make it unreasonable. I mean, you put them in wetlands, they don't stay anyway.
Do you want to
Make a motion to grant this waiver.
You're oversharing.
Second.
Roll call. Oh.
Working outside and maybe wrong.
2 weeks. Okay.
Or I can read it, actually. The waiver.
Yeah, I've got that, but should I read the waiver?
Yes. Try it again.
Okay, the waiver is for 11.3, parentheses 3, monuments shall be placed not more than 300 feet apart in any straight line unless limited by wetlands or other subsequent situations. Not granting the waiver would be pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and granting the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations. Is there a motion to grant the waiver?
Make a motion, we grant the waiver?
I second that.
Seconded by Donna Masucci. Ron and Donna. Roll call, please.
Just say yes.
Just say aye.
Suchi, aye. Capiello, aye.
Jesse, right?
Allard, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Okay, so we can proceed with the NOD, right? Did I already do a public hearing on that?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Okay, I'll start it off, right?
A lot of reading on this.
Yeah, I know. It's like a lozenge. Conditions precedent, revision to the plan. A, approximate locations of the driveways for proposed new lots to be shown on the final plans for the 12 lots. B, map 206 lot 80 and 65 are accessed off Homestead Lane, crossing wetlands, and those lots to be buildable. Provide New Hampshire DES crossing information. Item C, map 260 lot 69 and 79 are not owned by the town of Barrington. Assessing is working on updating the correct information, final plans to depict the correct ownership. D, removal of old and new lot numbers for final plan, updated to only have map and lot. 2, add the following items to the plan. A, zoning districts in all properties, including the butters. B, owner signature. C, wetland scientist signature. D, professional surveyor signature. E, label and add wetland sizes. F, each parcel to have total uplands and contiguous uplands labeled. G, right of way to be dimensioned on the plan. And finally, additional permits required. 3, 4 lot merger applications required by the assessor. 4, map 260 lot 81. Ooh.
Do you want to read all that?
As follows.
Okay.
4, provide a detailed engineer's estimate of construction costs for the Homestead Lane Public Road Class 5. 5, private road Homestead Lane will have to be renamed and go through the select board's process. Road name approved by the Board of Selectmen to be labeled on the final plan set. 6, subdivision recording fees to be paid. 6A, exact recording fee and return shipping to be determined by the Stratford County Registry of Deeds. Payments to be made payable to the same. Town staff will provide the cost when the plans are submitted for the planning board chair. B, LCHIP fee, $25 payable to the Stratford County Registry of Deeds.
Can we take over?
Okay.
Number 7, the certificate of monument installation to be submitted to the town. Proper and survey complete monumentation shall be installed on the properties as a conditional upon approve of the application. Applicant surveyor shall certify in writing the bounds and pins have been installed in accordance to the subdivision plan. This is for the new lots of record only. That the waiver was granted tonight on July 16th, 2024 for 11.3 parentheses 3. Prior to obtaining board signature, the applicant shall submit 2 full-size paper copies of subdivision plans, 1 11x17 copy and PDF format file, supporting documents as required, with a letter explaining how the applicant addressed the conditions of approval to land use office. The planning board chair shall sign and date all plans meeting the conditions of approval. The board shall endorse 2 full-size paper copies subdivision plans for the records and 1 11x17 copy and a PDF file format for the case file folder. The general and subsequent conditions are as follows. The proposed subdivision includes roadway construction, installation of drainage structures, or other public improvements. The costs will be incurred by the town to have the work inspected shall be borne to the applicant. Prior to the start of the work, a pre-construction meeting will be held to review procedures, identify responsibilities, and discuss town requirements. This shall occur after the planning board chair or the designee has signed the plans approved by the notice of decision. It is the owner's responsibility to contact land use department to start the process of having a pre-construction meeting to include the town planner, town road agent, owner engineer, and town engineer. Proper performance guarantee must be submitted to the town to ensure the completion of work of the homestead lane. No lot should be sold nor any building permit issued until proper guarantee is in place. The select board has no obligation to accept ownership of a development's road and infrastructure. Street view signage shall be 911 compliant and approved by the town of Barrington. E911 address would have to be established for the 12 new lots. The applicant's engineer shall certify in writing improvements have been constructed as approved. After the submission of as-built drawings and prior release of the performance guarantee, the town or the designee representative shall consider a final inspection. All items from the town's punch list shall be addressed prior to acceptance of the work. At project completion, as-built record drawing stamped by NH licensed professional engineer or land surveyor shall be submitted for the review for the town or town representative. As-built drawings shall document the project was constructed, including any changes to approved plans that are made during the project construction. Applicant shall be responsible for all costs associated with the town reviewing and recording of revised plans to the Registry of Deeds. The town acceptance of the as-built drawings is required for the town acceptance of project and release of performance guarantee. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck on your project. Thank you. Trying to be more excited after reading.
Okay, motion to grant the notice of decision.
I move to grant the new notice of decision.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Bob. Roll call, please.
Shepherd, aye.
Nap aye.
Suchi, aye.
Capello, aye.
Tessie, right?
Galler, aye.
Driscoll, aye.
Lots did you say you started with? I know we're down to 12, 23.
We already had like discussion.
We already did that. Plenty of
Just to
discussion.
address the board, the applicant is also looking a vote to recommend, since we discussed the conservation land plan, to either recommend or not recommend the conservation plan as shown to the select board so they can get that changed by the Attorney General's office.
Okay, so you want to vote on that?
Do a letter of recommendation, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, letter of recommendation, or you can do it through a vote this evening in the minutes. I think that would be adequate as well, but a letter would be, if you can do a letter, that's great too.
I'll make a motion to.
We usually do a memo, does it have to come from the select board though?
Whatever you need to do. I just wanted to make sure we have something that we can give to the select board, says you guys are okay with this. Then with the AG.
Usually we just do, like, in general, for a recommendation, a memo to the select board that they approve or disapprove or what have you of the conservation plan.
Yeah, because we'll need that for the AG.
Make a motion, we approve the subdivision plan as modified.
Second.
Roll call.
Nap aye.
Suchi, aye. Capello, aye.
Tessie, right?
Galler, aye.
Driscoll, aye.
I missed your second.
I did.
Anything else we need?
So I think just that as,
Class 5 road, do we want to, other recommendation of the select board on that as well?
the class 5 application has not yet been submitted.
Oh.
I know. We'll see you next month.
Yeah, we'll see.
For that one.
Good try, though.
It's done. I thought I'd submitted
Same
it.
time, same station.
We were on a roll, but it came with screeching balls.
Oh, I should have to change. I couldn't do it. That's right. Damn it.
Okay, thank you.
Did you vote?
You're all set.
Paying attention.
Snuck that
You
in.
can leave and leave happy.
Not sure what it was.
Under new business, I'm going to open public hearing for this woman who is here.
Patiently waited all this time. Thank you.
Yeah, just give you the 3 minutes like everybody gets.
Deborah Leahy, 48 Winkley Pond Road. I need to let the board know that the development that's going on 49 Winkley Pond Road across the street from us there. Back when the abutters came, my neighbor Brian mentioned that the culvert on the road is only good for like 16 ton, I believe, which is 32,000 pounds. And we have had trucks going that way. They're supposed to use the north
Entrance to,
part of the road. They're not supposed to go over the culvert, and they have. So as an abutter, am I supposed to call somebody and tell them every time?
Start with the road agent, because these were agreements that were made with the road agent and the developer. So just call the highway department.
Call the highway department.
I can
And that's
also
it?
let him know, who's Mark Moreau is the road agent. I can also let him
Yeah,
know.
we can send a memo to him too.
Because at the pre-construction meeting that was discussed that they should be using the
Right,
other
they're
entrance.
not supposed to use that,
Mhm.
and because if that caves in, then, we all have to use.
It wouldn't hurt to call him as well, besides me also. I
Yeah.
will let him know too.
Okay, thank you.
Wouldn't that also be a notification to the police chief? Because you're now exceeding the culvert capacity or the rated capacity of that culvert.
Perhaps I'll let the road agent handle
But
that. That's in
he
his
can
purview.
involve him.
Yeah. I'll just let him know that she came before the planning board, and if you want, I can get your name and number after the meeting. Or if you want to give him a call.
Star.
I'm sorry.
I can probably look his number up, or
Yeah, if you just call the highway department and ask for Mark.
or when I go to, if I go to the dump there, I can
Yep.
go to the
Yeah.
office.
Yep.
I'll
Exactly.
just go
Yep.
to the office at the
Yep.
dump
Right.
there and mention it to him, because it's, it's just not gonna,
Yeah.
it's not supposed to happen. Those of us that don't want the development, which is
Yeah, if you
all
happen
of
to
us.
see it, also take pictures on your phone or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have a smartphone,
Oh, okay.
but,
Oh, a regular camera.
but the guy down the road has a camera, game thing.
Oh, game camera.
That, dates and times.
Okay.
Things, but, okay, all right, so that's it?
Thank you very much.
Thank
And if they did cause any damage, by the way, they'd be responsible for it.
Yeah,
Is that it?
So if there is any damage done, they would be responsible for it.
right. They've already
Yes, but
agreed
the-
to that.
The problem is if there is if it goes down, everybody on the road is, I know how long it took Malago Road Bridge to get taken care of, and Green Hill Road, how long construction lasted on those two areas, and it's like, that's a hardship,
Yep.
So, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Other new business, wanted to discuss a zoning subcommittee.
I'll let you try to
Yeah, I'll
explain,
give-
'cause
I
I
think
was
the
like the third person
actually,
to know.
Scott,
I was the third person
You
to know.
initiated a lot of this by talking to Connor.
So we'll give it to
I
you.
think the gist of it is looking at the master plan and seeing how things in the master plan that people want is reflected in our regulations. So,
Yes, and the master plan doesn't always lay things out in a way that makes it actionable or sometimes even appropriate. So there's also pieces missing, architectural requirements, for example, in the town center area. But there's a whole bunch of areas that we can look at. And I already did a meeting once with the select board just to give an overview of this. And so, obviously we want to, the planning board owns the document, so we should definitely have input and discussion about it.
Well, just point of, there is architectural requirements in the town. That's in the
for
regulations.
the site plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those are,
I don't think we could do it. for-
But it's not in the vision, we have to decide what is, we need to do a couple of things that would strike me, and I'm not the expert here, clearly you would be, but there are a number of areas where we haven't as a town defined really what we want to see, and therefore it doesn't fall through and flow into the regulations, right? And so the question is the vision chapter of the master plan, which is the top level document of the whole master plan, is that accurate? Does it reflect town views accurately and town needs? And then does that flow down into the regulations?
The action items, well, most of the document is the same as the 2015 version. All of the figures and everything haven't changed. The only thing that changed is we added a lot to the end, the action parts this time. But I agree, we could improve on that, so that's something to think about. I'm talking to Connor today. He proposed that the chair be on the committee, that Joyce also be the representative from the select board on the committee. I guess you would talk to Connor.
Yeah, he told me.
And Scott was going to be on the committee, and we were looking for one more member who may be able to put the time in.
Doesn't work.
Or
Yeah,
everybody,
same thing.
it could be.
Retired guys, every day is a Saturday, right?
So it'd be, even though it's like planning board, it'd be like a subcommittee of
Yeah,
the planning
Or it
board
could
to
be the
work.
entire planning board if everyone were.
Right,
interested.
if everybody was interested.
Yeah. I guess Vanessa's point was, let's at least have 4 members, so if it comes to a vote or anything, at least we have a quorum of the select board, of the planning board, to present things to the select board ultimately. Because the idea is to work with them since they raised these issues in their work session. So, anybody want to volunteer?
Feel your gaze upon me.
No, I'm gazing in
Class 6
the,
road committee is now disbanded, bringing up your days.
yeah. That's
So
good.
to note, we would probably hold this during office hours. Unless you want to meet at night.
Do I get anything, can I get water?
I will actually buy, I will get snacks. How's
Wait a
that?
minute,
Well,
there's gonna
please,
be
for
a
my
big
sake,
snack box for
negotiate
each
with
person.
snacks.
All right.
I think he loves popcorn, so heavy on the
I like
popcorn.
the cheese curls. Cheese curls.
Oh, cheese
We'll
doodles.
take a
too.
vote on the snacks, but if snacks will get
You
you
take a
to
snack vote?
volunteer, then I will be there with snacks and water.
I will volunteer with those,
Okay,
under those terms.
okay. So we have our 4 members. Anybody else? Obviously, it's gonna be public hearings, so, anybody can come and.
So it'll be posted like any other public hearing. It'll be posted on our public hearing page and on the town hall bulletin and that sort of thing. We'll take, I'll be, if we do it while I'm still here, I'll take meeting minutes. And then otherwise I'll ask Barbara to take meeting minutes if you guys want to meet, like while I'm out. I think originally Connor was hoping to meet, or have you guys meet a few times before August 12th. Before the meeting started, we were talking a little bit. I think you might need more time, but that's up to the group. I can email out what more details of like days and hours that may work for everybody, or if you want to determine it now. I don't mean to put anybody on the spot. I know it's late
Yeah,
tonight
just
too.
send out proposed times and dates and
Sounds good.
see if it works.
Okay.
But I will say, the vision statement, the input we get is not consistent. So, there's no way we're gonna get, this should come down to the regulations, because what we hear people say and then what they come in and say here are 2 different things.
Mhm.
Everybody wants affordable housing, but nobody wants it next to them. Yeah, I don't want this, it's gonna hurt my property values. I want.
But there are other things in the zoning we could look at that other towns do. Steep slopes, for example. That's something that Andy is.
Well, we have steep slopes, only 35%.
Yeah, well, most towns are 25% across the state, and.
But I mean, I will say that level of specificity, does not come from a vision statement.
Oh, no.
Would that kind of
But
stuff
this
gets
is
addressed?
also a zoning subcommittee, I think, right? Was that what it was sold
My
as?
understanding, it was told to me that it would be like a zoning subcommittee.
Yeah.
However,
So we're taking.
I think it's evolved like from looking at the master plan, combing through it,
See what we're missing.
see what we're missing, have a consultant come in and do it. Tell me if I'm misspeaking.
Yeah, have a
don't know.
consultant come in. I think we talked about taking some, the high level fruit. What are the things that we really need to look at this year to put before the town to vote?
Right.
Right. So what are those low hanging fruit that we can just grab? And what are some of the other areas that we might consider revisiting? But, I think really it sounds like we all need to come to a conclusion. We almost need a terms of what the group is and what our goal is. And maybe that's the first step.
First meeting, we should figure out what we want to do. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I will point out, how many warrant articles did the planning board put forward last year?
19.
So
Well, it depends
it's
how you
not
look
like
at
we
the
did- we're not
attorney
responsible
combined a
to,
bunch,
what
so
Oh,
it was
no,
probably
no,
over
I don't
20
mean that
in
at all.
general.
Right.
Because she combined a bunch. She's like, I'm combining.
Originally, there were a lot more.
Yeah.
19.
But it
voted
sounds
on.
like there's a lot of conversations going on one-on-one, and we all need to get together. And
I think a lot of the warrant articles come from what we hear in these meetings.
Yep.
I mean, we addressed, when we have an unfavorable outcome that the rules, that say the regulations allow, that's when we make adjustments for the most part. We all kind of some that we don't like, it's approvable, and then people say, I hate it. And
so maybe we get together and we say nothing's needed. Maybe we get
I
together
agree. I
and
think
say,
that's unlikely.
but yeah, but it's just, I think, clearly you have a lot more experience here than I do. So,
He's the grandfather of the planning board. What's going on here? What?
I'm like, I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, that's true, because you were a rep.
But he looks more like your grandfather.
6 years, 6 times.
I've been here 9 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay, I think we just have.
But you were ex-officio, you had Joyce's spot there for a while, so you were not officially on the planning board. I think I'm the official, longer.
Probably the longest official. I was an ex officio for 6 years, 5 of the 6 years.
Quit talking about the tenure here.
Yeah, can we get that? Are we done talking about this? So,
Yep, sounds good.
Could
I'll
I
set up.
could I get a straw poll from the board? One of the things that I've been thinking about is when I look at these applications, it's a pain to go pull the deeds. It would be really helpful if part of our packet, we had the deed for the property so you could see what restrictions, covenants, what was put in place with property
We're
when
not
it came
supposed to
in.
look at deeds though, really,
That is
from legal advice.
Really?
what, but it is like
wow.
a huge part of like how you look at planning and how stuff was approved. And we have run into circumstances where there are restrictions put in the deeds and the
That
covenants.
Remember that one in Midlands?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yep.
you figured out that language.
Remember that one?
How can you challenge that?
I don't think it has to be challenged. I just think it would be good to know if there have been covenants or restrictions that have been put in place that
Lot shall not be subdivided further.
What was her rationale behind not getting into
Was
that?
there case law about this?
I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. As far as like which case laws, but your decisions should not be based on deed or covenants. If it comes before like the issue for Hemlock where that came up,
Yeah.
I mean, that was like if it's in a notice of decision or something, that's up to the board to determine those, I guess. But like,
It seems like, of course we would.
right. But there's
but I know
also-
like the zoning board has like, I know you guys aren't the zoning board, but they are faced a lot with like covenants and restrictions, and they're not supposed to put that as part of their decision making process because they're not enforceable by the town.
And the
So if there's
town-
covenants and restrictions in an HOA, the code enforcement doesn't go enforce those.
But the town of Barrington just lost a court case on this because there were covenants and restrictions in place and it went to trial and they lost. So, like,
I mean, I
our
can get a
lawyer
better-
says don't do it. Our
I can-
lawyer just lost.
Okay.
Like, is that not the most ridiculous thing ever?
With, we remember the case where they had some deeds had the no subdivision restriction in there and some didn't.
Right, that was a Hemlock one.
And
Right, some of them didn't make them onto the deeds, but they were in the notice of decision that they pulled from 1983 or something.
Like, I guess the way I look at this is our job sitting here is to do what is best for the people of town. And basically what this comes down to, and pardon the expression, is a bit of a pissing contest as to who has more money to sit there and go argue it, because you turn it into a civil battle that it should never be if we do our job and we do it thoroughly and correctly. And I think everybody tries to do that, but if you don't have all the information in front of you, it's pretty tough to do that. You have to really go dig for it. And there's 3 or 4 people sitting here that have full-time jobs on top of it all.
Could we
I remember those
Could we put
days.
that on the application, the checklist, to identify any covenants or
I think it is already in the
Easements.
checklist.
would that satisfy you, Andy?
It's already on the
Identify any
checklist. I
easements
mean,
or-
Right,
it's
but
up
it
to the
doesn't
applicant to
get,
that burden.
it's up to the applicant to go pull it, and it would just make me feel better if I can sit there and read through, like, now what I do is I have to go research them and pull them up, and which just sucks up more hours of my time.
What you're getting paid for, right?
Yeah. It's getting my big fat town check.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish.
All right, anything else before we adjourn? Motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Second it.
Usually make it.
Hey, roll call.
Separate eye.
Nap eye.
Suchi, aye.
Capiello, I.
Just your eye.
They can really say what you think.